though you started off doing really wonderfully experimental scores like The Lost Boys, you started to go in the much more melodic orchestral vein that you could say was more reflective of your family's history. And two scores that really stand out is having beautifully melodic themes are Less Than Zero and Men Don't Leave.
Yeah. A lot of that is because directors like melody. It ends up, the good thing about melody in movies is it's kind of undefendable. And if there's a melody, it's almost an excuse not to necessarily be dramatic. And it's funny because when I start a movie, typically the last thing I want to do is write a theme. I want to get into the colors and sounds and all that kind of stuff. But I think directors are looking for themes an awful lot. And Paul Brickman on Men Don't Leave just had me write theme after theme after theme. It was a directive that he had given me. And Less Than Zero, which came before Men Don't Leave, there was a conceit that there was this kind of exquisite, high-end kind of beauty inside the heads or the high-end houses of these characters in Less Than Zero. So, again, you just kind of go with it. I don't think I thought, now it's time to be melodic and less experimental so much as what is this movie and how can I crack it?
What was it like for you to deal with orchestras for the first times on these scores?
It was really horrifying. I mean, because I always was afraid I wouldn't be good on a podium. I mean, whether with a click track or free timing, that how was I going to relate to these people, and that they were going to have a much greater techniques than me. So it was really scary. Less Than Zero, I think, was really the most significant first moment of getting up in front of an orchestra. And I remember we were down at CBS Radford. I think this was before it had turned into Todd A.O. I think it was because there was a big transformation and a big remodel, and CBS Radford suddenly turned into Todd A.O. But there was some earthquake. I remember the first day of our recording. This would have been in like 86 or something, or 87, I think. And I don't think I even felt it. I was on the freeway at the time. But when we got down to the studio, there was a huge line of cars at the front gate and all kinds of trouble. And I remember I wore a shirt and a tie. The idea was, who was I getting up in front of an orchestra, and what kind of image was I supposed to project? All these kind of coulda, shouldas, or who am I now? And now, of course, I get up in jeans and T-shirts, and I think I have a much better concept of my talents on a podium and what I'm trying to accomplish. But it was very scary at first.
Did you ask for any advice from Randy, who had been doing a lot of orchestra work at this point?
I didn't, but not because I couldn't have. I probably just didn't think of it, or I don't know what he would have told me. It's kind of like flying solo. Not that I know anything about that, but there's getting up in front of people and communicating ideas either with your arms or through your ears, and then with words, identifying problems, wrong notes, or misguided gestural senses, and working from there. So there's nothing better than just doing it a lot, and I've done it a lot now, and I don't get nearly as nervous when I get on the podium. I feel like I can look at the players, and I sense that they appreciate me. They probably appreciate that I'm not trying to come off as anything other than a person who's written music and is trying to make it sound as good as it can. So I have really no aspirations to be a conductor other than to interpret my own music and to make it sound as good as it can.
Men Don't Leave is a wonderful film that I hope comes out on DVD and remains a real favorite among your fans. And one of the things that stands out about the score is how you embody this child who misses his dad with like whistles and almost kind of a little cowboy approach to it.
I think hopefully a film composer has a sense of character empathy, along with a collaborative sense of what it is to work with a director. And I remember I had sent several themes to Paul Brickman. He just wanted me to write melodies, just write a theme. And this was one of maybe 10 or 15 ideas I sent him that he picked. And it wasn't one that I necessarily said, this is the theme to your movie. It was just one that really stood out to him.
Here's music from Tom Newman's first work with orchestras, Less Than Zero and Men Don't Leave.